What's up guys, Mickle here, and we just got some breaking information on Bill Hinman's Ethereum free pass speech and the emails that were surrounding it. We know that the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass speech has been a huge issue for the SEC in this case against Ripple. It has actually become so much of an issue that the SEC has spent more time trying to prevent these emails from getting handed over to Ripple than actually arguing that XRP itself is a security. I think that says a lot about how big of an issue this is for the SEC. Well, a new interview just came out of Bill Hinman that I believe is explosive evidence that could tank the SEC's case against Ripple even further. Bill Hinman is caught in another 180 here and completely contradicts what the SEC has been saying in their case against Ripple. In this video, I'm going to show you guys why this new clip of Bill Hinman is going to be so detrimental to the SEC's case against Ripple, and you guys are not going to believe how much of a mess the SEC has once again gotten themselves into. Guys, at the end of this video, I also want to do a quick segment on the current state of the market. I want to let you guys know what I'm concerned about, what I'm watching, what good things I do see developing. I think this is going to make you guys feel a lot more confident in averaging into your favorite projects, but maybe more importantly, how you can know whether your favorite projects are going to do something like Terra Luna. Make sure you guys stick around for that. I think it's really important. Like always, if you guys are new to this channel or come here all the time, please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It goes such a long way in helping to support this channel, and it means so much to me. If you guys are ever looking for a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out the link in the description below. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So one of the main reasons we can easily tell that the Bill Hinman documents, both the speech and the emails leading up to it, are such a big issue for the SEC is because they keep on 180ing on their position about these documents, whether they were SEC guided or his personal opinion, and this shows us that they are clearly trying to hide something. If they were perfectly fine with just going forward with the truth, they clearly wouldn't have to 180 on such a drastically different detail pertaining to what these documents should be labeled as. Now, one of the reasons we know that the SEC has been bouncing between these two arguments is because it is a lose-lose scenario, and they don't want to be stuck with the consequences of either. If the Ethereum free pass speech was determined to be SEC guided, then this creates a huge issue for the SEC in that they would have to compare the differences between Ethereum and XRP and why the SEC does not believe Ethereum is a security and XRP should be declared a security. Well, this is a huge issue for the SEC because we know from everything we've seen that Ethereum is much more of a security than XRP. So that is clearly a huge issue for the SEC if they have to go to the court and say, we believe XRP is a security for these reasons and we believe Ethereum is not a security for these reasons. This is essentially an impossible task for the SEC to do, and that's why they very quickly tried to say that the Bill Hinman free pass speech was just his personal opinion. They know if they went into court and had to make this distinction, they would automatically lose the case. It was an impossible distinction to make. So very quickly, they came out and said the Bill Hinman free pass speech for Ethereum was all his personal opinion. We don't have to do any comparisons between XRP and Ethereum. Let's move on and get on to the next issue. Well, that was all fine and dandy until Ripple came back and said, hey, if that's Bill Hinman's personal opinion, then we should be able to see the emails that led up to this speech. Clearly, if it's not SEC guided, it shouldn't be protected by any privileges, and we deserve to know why Bill Hinman gave that speech if it was all his personal opinion. It seems like it really affected the market, so we would like to see how that speech was drafted. And the court said, yeah, that makes sense, because if this wasn't SEC guided, you deserve to know why this speech was given. And suddenly the SEC said, we don't want to deal with that, because we know in this speech there's a bunch of very incriminating things that will likely prove that we know XRP is not a security. So very quickly, the SEC realized they made a big mistake. They tried to turn back on this mistake and said, actually, it wasn't Hinman's opinion. It wasn't Hinman's opinion. It was just a department of the SEC. Well, that's the same thing as being SEC guided, because if a department of the SEC gave the advice that Ethereum was not a security, then the SEC does not believe Ethereum is a security. So very quickly, we see the SEC 180ing, flip-flopping between these two arguments because they know both arguments are terrible for them in court, so they're trying to play some quasi-middle ground that really doesn't make any sense. Okay, so now this is where things start to get really interesting. We have the SEC flip-flopping between these two ideas, but one thing is set in stone. William Hinman went in a deposition and said the Ethereum free pass speech was all his personal opinion. That means, based on his own deposition under oath, he said it was just his personal opinion. So when the SEC came back and said actually it might have been SEC guided, they suddenly contradicted what William Hinman said in his deposition, which John Deaton points out right here, means that either the SEC is lying to the court or Bill Hinman lied under oath, because it can't be both things. So what John Deaton is pointing out here is if Bill Hinman started this whole thing off by saying that the Ethereum free pass speech was all his personal opinion, and then the SEC is now coming back around and saying no, it's actually SEC guided, the SEC is essentially incriminating Hinman here and saying that he lied under oath, which is a federal penalty. Now, funny enough, the SEC tried to clear this up by just saying it was a little misleading, but we know what happened. The SEC flip-flopped on this. But what happened with this flip-flop just today that is making it even more hard to believe? Wait until you guys see this. So right after the SEC's flip-flop, the court essentially came down and said, okay, enough. If Bill Hinman said it was his personal opinion under deposition, we're gonna believe that. It's his personal opinion from here on out. But if there is evidence that even though it was his personal opinion, if the speech still influenced and guided the market, then Ripple could still use it for their fair notice defense. And there's the lose-lose. Now suddenly, Ripple's getting the emails handed over to them, and possibly the speech could still be used for their fair notice defense. And this would be horrible. All we need to know now is whether or not Hinman believed his speech was guiding the market from the SEC's perspective. And listen to this, because he all but admits it here. I want you guys to listen very closely to the pronouns he uses here.
Some respects have been attractive because folks have really latched on to something that we had articulated back in 2018. You know, if you have an organization where there's not an identifiable active participant or sponsor or third party that's really directing how the DAO's success might go, then you might not have something that gets regulated as a security. And back then we said, you know, Ethereum had reached the point, even though it's not a DAO, but Ethereum had reached the point in terms of an investment in a token that...
And boom, there Hinman goes again using the word we. We at the SEC used this speech to tell the market that we do not believe Ethereum is a security. He is literally blowing up the SEC's case, and this happened after the case was filed, after his deposition, after the SEC flip-flopped on this issue. This is so exculpatory and literally admits to the court that Bill Hinman used the speech to guide the market, and this plays perfectly into Ripple's fair notice defense. But hey, don't listen to me. I want you guys to listen to Jeremy Hogan tell you this, because he puts it perfectly. And also, we haven't heard from Jeremy Hogan in a while, and this is an absolute gem he put out there that covers this exact thing.
Led, close quote. Yes. The entire argument completely backtracks on what the SEC has been saying about this speech for almost like the last year. And what does that mean from a legal strategy standpoint? Look at what the SEC has just done. It's not good because it opens up the possibility that the SEC could lose both its pond and its bishop. Let me explain. First, the judge has already made a very strong determination that as far as she is concerned, the speech was Hinman's personal opinion. There was no doubt about that in her order. That is actually what the SEC wanted. It got basically what it wanted there. Now in this motion for reconsideration, it has given her more very similar documents to review and changed its position on the speech 180 degrees. Now, is that going to change the judge's mind on whether the emails are discoverable? I don't think so. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think so because she's already made a determination based on Hinman's affidavit. Just because a lawyer says that Hinman's affidavit is not correct doesn't make it so. It's meaningless. Nothing a lawyer ever says is evidence. Only what Hinman said under oath is evidence. Now second, and much worse, The SEC has now put its bishop at risk, and that's because it's trying to make a fine distinction that most likely isn't going to hold up. And that distinction may very well put the Hinman speech back in play as official guidance when Judge Torres gets the case for final summary judgment. The SEC is trying to distinguish the Department of Corporate Finance, a department within the SEC, from the SEC itself. Now what's the problem with that strategy? Here's the structure of the SEC. There's the Division of Corporate Finance at the bottom. Does the division's statement bind the SEC? Well, the answer to that is absolutely, because a company, a commission, an organization are of course made up of different parts, but the SEC is the organization, the umbrella under which all the parts fall. When Tesla's head of the Department of Finance says it will finance Tesla cars at 0% interest, is that Tesla talking or just that department? Of course it's Tesla talking, and the SEC can try to argue that fine line to the judge that the division is somehow separate from the SEC if it wants to try, but my question is, why even put yourself in that position? And this is especially true because the fair notice defense and even the Section 5 violation, to an extent, are objective tests. And the question is what a reasonable market participant would have taken away from the Hinman speech. And no reasonable market participant would ever have dreamt that when the head of the SEC Division of Corporate Finance, Mr. Hinman, gave the Ethereum speech, no one would have thought, well, I guess that's just binding on his own division within the SEC and not on the other three divisions or on the SEC in general. That argument is just not tenable and no one's going to buy it. I have an idea for them though. Maybe the SEC should get my buddy on Twitter, Stefan Huber, to argue the motion for them because he can apparently explain the SEC's position in 140 characters. The Hinman speech was not the SEC's position, but the personal opinion of Hinman, who didn't represent the SEC but the SEC Division of Corporate Finance, which represents the SEC but doesn't represent the SEC because it isn't the SEC. Yeah, that'll work in court.
So Bill Hinman once again puts the SEC in another horrible situation. The SEC is now flip-flopped on this argument 3 or 4 times. They can't get their story straight, and they have Bill Hinman running around doing off-the-cuff interviews, literally blowing up a case they were in with Ripple. Guys, there is no way the SEC wins this case. They have done an abysmal job, and like I said in the beginning of this video, they have literally been fighting this entire time, literally about the stuff that went on at their own agency. They haven't even brought any good evidence for why they think XRP is a security. Now all we have to do is wait for the SEC to finally realize they have already lost this case. And guys, I wanted to cover one more thing before I let you go because this is super important to understand. People always say, if Ripple's doing so well in court, why isn't the price of XRP going up? Well, it is so important to understand we are in one of the biggest tech sell-offs of all time right now. It's bigger than the dot-com bubble. It's bigger than the global financial crisis. It's bigger than the mass illness that went around the world. Guys, we are in a huge tech sell-off right now, and for all intents and purposes, crypto's actually holding up pretty well. Draw a line from the March lows we were at back in 2020 to where we are right now, and we are still significantly higher on most assets. You can't even say the same for most of the S&P 500 companies. We are getting hit hard right now with a drastic sell-off. But Jeremy Hogan put it best, if you zoom out, you won't be able to see this. Over the long run, we are in one of the best digital assets out there that does not change with any short-term FUD, any BS lawsuits by the SEC. We have the best tech. XRP will change the world, and none of this will change that. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope everyone has a great night, and for now, Mickle out.